I got all I want, and I got all I need, and I got everything. I got you and me. All I want, I got all I
Marriage
need.
is the best. I really don't like Valentine's Day very much. I'm not a huge fan. In fact, I have a distaste for it. It's something that I think I've developed over the years, and it's something that I was thinking about this week as Valentine's Day approaches. Today, the day of recording is Sunday, the day of the Super Bowl, and we're kind of gearing up for the week before Valentine's Day. Now, to caveat, Becca and I already celebrated our Valentine's Day, and we had a really nice time just last week. On Friday, we went to a marriage musical, which is fitting. It's actually our third or fourth time seeing this marriage musical. It is currently playing in St. Paul, I believe, at Art House North. It is called Till Death, and it is one of the most profound, it is one of the most sweet, it is one of the most powerful messages on marriage, breakdowns on, marriage stories, I should say, actually. It's a really cool, powerful presentation of marriage stories. And that's something that we're passionate about and something that we really enjoy. And so we've gone back time and time again. The people who put it on and who wrote it have been performing it for something like 14 years. And they're very impressive. It's a really wonderful show. So if you're interested, I do believe they're actually showing it again today, the day that it releases, this Monday. There is a pay as you are able or something like that night. I don't know if there are tickets available, but you could check that out this coming weekend if you're in the Minnesota area, in that St. Paul area. There's also a few shows this weekend. So that would be a phenomenal Valentine's Day date. There you go. So we already celebrated our Valentine's Day, but I guess the reason that I don't really particularly appreciate Valentine's Day is that it creates this weird pressure to manufacture, connection, or creates this weird pressure to be somewhere or something that you maybe aren't in that specific month that Valentine's Day comes around in. And so I feel as though it has a negative impact on people's hearts and minds, especially if they're not feeling like they're in a very good place. I don't often think of Valentine's Day as something that comes about and reconnects two people back into their relationship. Now, some of that has to do with how you utilize Valentine's Day in your own world. And so it's important to note and understand that I'm not saying that this can't be used as a tool for healthy connection and to create an intentional moment of either romance or pursuit. However, I do feel as though for a lot of people, both single and married, Valentine's Day represents a lot of loneliness. It represents a lot of strife. It represents and reminds us of where we are not at, and oftentimes can create a lot of conflict due to the pressure that it puts on our emotional systems, our relational systems, and, potentially our financial systems. So instead of focusing on a grand gesture on a cold day in February, because, we're based out of Minnesota, we prefer to really be intentional and consistent with little pursuits. In fact, the marriage musical, Till Death, one of the songs is The Little Things. And they sing about how the little things add up and up and up. And it's all about the little things in the long run that make marriage work, that make marriage really sweet, that can make marriage really intimate and deep. When you're consistent, ongoing pursuit of one another is represented in your day-to-day lives and day-to-day system. The sustainable system for making marriage work is spending 20 minutes a day, 4 to 5 days a week, talking through stressful conversations, making sure that you are really in the know of your partner's life, and giving them an opportunity to download on you so that you can understand, all that's going on, and you can update them on where you're at. The second principle is to date once a week, 1 or 2 hours, spend just time having fun, enjoying life and enjoying each other. The third principle is walking away from the craziness of your life every about 6 months for a night away. Just getting away, reconnecting, refreshing, and enjoying one another. There are 2 other principles. They are more cultural, and so you want to create a culture where you are appreciative of all the little things that your partner is doing. That creates a lightness within the relationship as you're moving through and as stress kind of comes into your world. And then you also want to create a lot of affection and be intentional about touching and connecting in that way. So if you're doing those 5 things on a daily basis, weekly basis, yearly basis, you're inputting, the need for celebrating Valentine's Day in a big way, it goes away. You don't really need Valentine's Day as a reminder. You don't need Valentine's Day to create pressure when you are, in fact, pursuing your spouse regularly and connecting. We also have other opportunities to celebrate our spouses. If I celebrate Becca on her birthday, the day of her birth, I think that's cool. If I celebrate, Becca on our anniversary, because I really think celebrating an anniversary is actually very important, that's fantastic. I love those celebrations. And, a date night is kind of a celebration of her. It's an opportunity for romantic gesture. It is an opportunity for connection and intimacy and pursuit, and all of those little things add up to an intimate long-term relationship. So for me, Valentine's Day can often feel a little bit redundant or even disruptive because at times, there are times when Valentine's Day is an inconvenience. It is something that will come up or come out that creates pressure to feel connected or to feel a certain way that we might not be feeling that week. We have a lot of really great weeks. We have a lot of really hard weeks because marriage is full of both of those things. And so Valentine's Day can kind of undermine some of that and create lots of pressure. So let's talk a little bit about the pressure. For couples, I think the pressure is around romance, and it's not that romance is bad or wrong, but if you or your spouse are not feeling particularly romantic around this time, and yet you're experiencing a large amount of pressure to feel a certain way while you're connecting with your spouse or going out on dates or connecting or communicating or, in town or out of town. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that can get in the way of us feeling that way. And when you're not feeling that way in particular, and then you've got this big reminder that you're not feeling that way, it can actually create a lot of loneliness on Valentine's Day. And Becca and I have experienced loneliness on at least one of our Valentine's Day because we were in a really difficult season, and Valentine's Day didn't really help. For a single person, I think Valentine's Day can be all the more difficult because if we think as married people that we are alone in our worlds and in our lives and in what we're moving through, how much more is the pressure to be connected or be intimate or be known or be in relationship with someone for a single? And so I think that Valentine's Day is actually really, I've heard it said, what is that tongue-in-cheek way of saying it? It's like Singles Awareness Day or something like that. You don't have a Valentine, and that does not mean that you are worth any less than all of us who have connected ourselves to our Valentine's Day. So there's actually suffering on both ends, right? There's suffering for the couples who are feeling disconnected and having a difficult time moving through their relationship struggles. And then there's, struggles in the single world. I'm sure that there are lots of struggles in the dating and in the engaged world as well. However, I do actually feel as though in that season, Valentine's Day is kind of more fun. It's more fun to celebrate. It's more fun to, connect on. It's I don't know. It does feel a little different when you're dating or engaged than when you're in the throes of, raising 5 children and taking care of a home. It's a little different of a season. One of the biggest things that I really don't like about Valentine's Day is, in fact, its commercialization. It's the constant reminders, the constant asks, the flower 1-800-Flowers and the chocolate and all of the things that want you to purchase things from, for your spouse. It just annoys me. We run a pretty tight budget. Not tight in the sense that we run a little bit of a tight budget. And when I say tight, what I really mean by that is we are very intentional about what we're spending, with the only caveat of maybe food sometimes. But otherwise, we're very intentional about how we're spending our money and what we're spending it on. And all of the reminders and the constant presentation of things that you need and things that you want and things that you should be doing for your spouse, I again feel as though it creates a weird pressure on a marital system that is unnecessary and unhelpful. I really don't like the idea of the people spending more money than they should to celebrate Valentine's Day. Obviously, Dave Ramsey would probably have a heart attack if we went on a date on Valentine's Day and went into debt. So I hope that all of us are very mindful about not going into debt for our Valentine's Day dates and, all of the other crazy things that people want you to buy because it is Valentine's Day. It just cheapens the whole thing. If Valentine's Day is supposed to be a romantic, intimate, connecting day, the commercialization definitely is a downer on that. There are a couple exceptions in my brain on like when Valentine's Day can be kind of fun or helpful. I think dating couples, Valentine's Day can be kind of a fun thing, especially if you are with someone that's flexible and curious and go with the flow and you're able to kind of just go and enjoy yourselves. I think that can be fun. I think that there's nothing wrong if both of the parties in the couple want to celebrate it and want to make it fun, and they are relieving any added pressure from culture or outside forces on each other, and then they're just going out and experiencing it together. I actually think that would be fine. I think that that's really cool. If that's you, fantastic. You enjoy your Valentine's Day and celebrate it in cool ways. I think that's a cool thing to be able to do. But I don't think that everybody is able to do it that way, nor do I think that they should. And obviously, if you utilize Valentine's Day as a tool to create an intentional moment with your spouse, I think that is fun. And it should be something that broadens and expands into the day-to-day and into other forms of reaching out and connecting. But obviously, if you're doing it and it's an intentional moment for you guys, I think that is very fun as well. So when Valentine's Day comes in and ruins our days because of the pressure it's putting on our relationships, I don't think that's super helpful. And I think even having conversations with our spouses surrounding expectations on Valentine's Day, it could be really important, because expectations being, one of the many thieves of our joy in our day-to-day lives. If not managed correctly, those expectations can run pretty wild. And so I would say that if you're able to have a really healthy, connected conversation with your spouse around what the expectations are on both sides for what Valentine's Day should look like, financially, emotionally, relationally, intimately, that's obviously a really healthy practice. At its best, Valentine's Day can enhance an already healthy system if it's used correctly. But without that foundation, it doesn't really fix distance. It doesn't really mask or make it better. It can mask it. It can kind of create a mask for it, and ultimately kind of undermine some of the reality of what life throws at us in different seasons. If you also hate Valentine's Day, You're not up for the commercialization. You don't really like this idea of putting pressure on me to perform on a certain day and prove that I'm a good husband because I bought the jewelry or I did the thing. If that is not your jam, I have a solution for you. And it's not going to cost you a single dime, which is even better. My solution for the Valentine's Day pressures is writing a note every year about the things that you loved most about your partner in the last 12 months. Go back and look at your pictures, go back and look at your calendar, go back and look at your bank account, look at all the things that represent value and priorities, etc., and look for reminders and representations for the kind of attributes that you saw in your spouse this past year. Write out an attribute, write out a specific couple of representations of that attribute. You know, you were really beautiful doing X, or I saw you plan this event and I thought it was really, really remarkable. Write down a few different attributes or a few different compliments or a few different things that you saw represented over the course of the last year in your spouse's life and just praise them for it. That feeds the idea of appreciation. It feeds the idea of I see you, I know you, I value you, and it creates this special kind of record for the things that you saw and noticed in your spouse. That's good for you to look back on and remember. It's also good for them to hear about. And obviously, it's something that you can be doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. But if Valentine's Day can just create a little reminder to do that and to step out and to be intentional about writing that down. The other thing that you can do is you can keep that like as a keepsake, either in an album or you can just snap a picture of it and put it on your phone sometime. And you could look back on those notes every year and remember all sorts of different things that you would forget otherwise about your spouse, about what they mean to you, about who they are, about the cool things that they accomplish, about the attributes that come out of them when they're at their best. And if you can create that note and you can create a consistency around writing those notes, you can create kind of a protective measure against feeling bitter, against feeling resentful or angry when you are in conflict or when you are struggling to see the good in your spouse. You can always look back on this record and find consistent memories, consistent, genuine memories that you came up with that are a positive representation of who your spouse is. So this is a low-cost, high emotional investment, deeply personal connection that you can create. It's not going to cost you anything. There's no pressure around it, except that you would have to actually do it in order for it to benefit you. But it creates a really positive association with Valentine's Day. And I think if you have an expectations conversation, and then you provide this as an alternative, and you're able to just celebrate one another. If you want to go to dinner like normal, date night, that's fine. No big deal. If you want to go see this show that's this weekend, they didn't pay me. I love this show. So that's all. That's the reason that I'm saying that again. But if you want to go do something like that, that's fantastic. You can go and do that. But ultimately, creating a very thoughtful, intentional, sweet little record of why you love your spouse, I think is enough. It's enough of a Valentine's Day celebration and tradition, as long as your partner agrees. Some people may say, well, if I'm not participating in my marriage and I'm not feeling very connected to my spouse, Valentine's Day serves as a reminder for me to pursue them. So if your marriage is broken to the point where you are struggling to pursue your spouse, early on when that fade is happening, there are emotional cues that you're getting from yourself and from your spouse or partner that represent, hey, we're not exactly on the right foot. We're not exactly on the right terms. We're not exactly connected in the way that I want to feel connected to you. Paying attention to those little emotional cues, whether they come from you internally, like, oh, I'm feeling disconnected, or come from your spouse, like, hey, you better connect with me. Those are the cues that you should be paying more attention to rather than a big Valentine's Day ordeal. Again, Valentine's Day can be utilized in a positive way, but it oftentimes creates a really negative experience. So anyways, if you and your partner love Valentine's Day, enjoy it. If not, don't feel obligated. Don't feel obligated to make it something that it's not. Don't feel obligated to feel something that you don't feel. If there's stress or conflict in your relationship, work on that instead. And that will make you feel much more intimately connected than any of the other things. If you want to practice that gesture, I don't have a catchy name for it, but you can catchy name it with your spouse, and then you guys can do that. That would be a fun, I think, tradition to do. Otherwise, we did have a winner for the giveaway. And so that has been, the sponsor already sent that out. So it's just in time for Valentine's Day date, if they so very choose to do it. And so I'll actually just read you really quick the review that they posted because I thought it was nice. The winner was Hashway RW, and this is what the review said. It said, in a world where negativity abounds and parents find access to reliable resources and true wisdom harder and harder to find, Marriage is the Best podcast shines like a beacon in a dark time. The wisdom and maturity and helpfulness of this podcast has helped me personally process a lot of intricate topics, and I know it can do the same for you. Thank you, Peter and Becca, for all you do. Keep it up. We also got a couple other awesome 5-star reviews. This one says, as someone who's never been married but hopes to be one day, this is a very informative podcast to bring to those pre- and post-marriage discussions. So thank you so much for leaving those 5-star reviews. Thank you for participating in the giveaway. Thank you for sending in those clicks. We really appreciate it. If you listening to this have not yet filled out a 5-star review, you could either wait for the next giveaway and increase your chances of winning however much money the giveaway is. That's fantastic. You feel free to wait, and that's just fine. Otherwise, you could probably just go on Apple Podcast and hit that 5-star review. That would be really helpful for us, and we always very much appreciate it. So thank you so much for listening and spending some time with us. We hope it was beneficial and helpful for you all. This is the end.
And I got all I need. And I got everything. I got you and me. All I want. I got all I need. I got.
Marriage is the best. Marriage is the best. Marriage is the best. Yes, it is.